Hello? Hello? Could have sworn I heard something moving. I do not get paid enough to care. Hey friends, welcome to the temporary new room. I couldn't afford rent for the month, so I had to get a job to help out. Pretty sweet deal too. I just sit here and watch some cameras. Not like anyone is gonna break into a pizzeria anyway. Since I doubt anything is gonna be happening tonight, I might as well chill and play a game. What do you think about relaxing with some Five Nights at Freddy's? Welcome back to the night shift. Or should I just say welcome? It's 1987 and you've just been hired on as a security guard at the new and improved Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, filling in the shoes of a previous worker who couldn't handle it. Your job is to oversee the restaurant from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. From the first call from our familiarly voiced superior, it's clear that you're not here to keep people out. The remnants of a previous location linger in the dialogue left for you, and in the halls of this very restaurant. It goes without saying that someone is wanting to move past or cover up something that happened in the prior establishment, leaving its animatronics to rot in a back room in favor of its shiny new counterparts. As the week progresses, you're tasked with defending yourself against an increasingly aggressive cast of animatronics, plus whatever these things would be considered. Maybe if you last long enough, some of this clouded history might just unfold for you. FNAF 2 gameplay. Where do you even begin? Being released only 3 short months after the first game, it shares a large amount of baseline mechanics. A now shorter 6-hour clock outlining phases of the night, cameras to keep tabs on the animatronics, and a slightly different power gauge. This is where the similarities begin to end though. This game does away with the doors of the first, leaving you staring down an open hallway with 2 comically large vents on your left and your right. You're given 3 essential tools for defense though, an empty Freddy mask, your flashlight, and a music box. Starting with the mask, it's the only thing standing between you and certain death when you're face to face with the large majority of the cast. Simply putting it on fast enough will save you from their cold metal hands. Next, the flashlight replaces the power system from the previous installment. Pressing control shines it on any camera you're looking at, temporarily stalling any animatronics you catch on it, but its far less niche application is shining it down the hallway to deal with withered Foxy, who won't be fooled by Freddy's head. Lastly is the music box, which can be wound remotely to keep the marionette at bay. If you let it unwind fully, you're met with a song telling you that you messed up, as you come face to face with this freak. At its basic level, this game is actually very simple, and as you get into a rhythm, it gets even easier. Some RNG does play a role in later nights' difficulty, especially as the music box unwinds faster, and you're forced to babysit it while having to wait out these uncomfortably long blackout scenes. But unfortunately, just like with its predecessor, understanding of the game comes with the realization that actual usage of the cameras is pointless. You just need to keep it on the prize counter, and wind the music box in between checking the office. Hopefully Scott Cawthon finally figures out how to use the cameras in a later entry. Like with the first game, sound cues can be a huge help, especially the vent noise, indicating something has moved in the vents. Although as an aside, going back to get footage, the vent sounds didn't seem to trigger properly sometimes, which was a little irritating. Speaking of irritating, I have to mention one sound cue in particular. When something enters this area around your office, an ambient noise plays, on loop, until there's nothing there. I hope you like hearing it, because on later nights, spoiler alert, there's always something there. Oh, shut up. That's essentially all there is though, so congrats, you're now fit to take on the night shift. Oh, but watch out for golden I thought it might be best to combine these 2 into one section, to make room for a super cool secret one later in the video. But let me know if you'd prefer longer, deeper dives into each of these, or everything else in the comments. Anyways, If I'm being completely honest, I think this game is an aesthetic downgrade from the first. Speaking subjectively, I'm not a big fan of the toy animatronics at all. The withered animatronics have some great designs, but still nothing as great as the originals, in my opinion. The office renders are okay, but way less grounded than in Five Nights at Freddy's 1, which hurts it a bit. It's honestly a little hard to even call this an office, because the layout just feels weird. I would speak more about some of the rooms visible on cameras, but you honestly see so little of them, they all blend together in my head. Out of everything, my personal favorite render is definitely Withered Foxy in the hallway though. Come on, just look at him. A close second is Endo02 in the left vent. Love him. The sounds are another tough thing to talk about. The highlight is probably the weird bird noise in the nightmare scenes, whatever that is. Other than that, we miss out on a lot of really cool ambient sounds of the pizzeria from the first game, and that really damages the atmosphere. I don't want to put you through another rant about the overuse of the hallway ambience, but keep that in mind too. Moving on to the fun stuff. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 really expanded the amount of secrets to a good degree. From the start of the game, you have a chance of opening it to one of these horrifying screens. And during gameplay, there isn't just one hidden animatronic, or two, or three, or oh wait, there are four. Technically 5 if you count the paper pals. This animatronic named JJ will appear under the desk in the office. RWQ FSFASXC, or Shadow Bonnie, will appear floating on the left side of the office, and you need to shine your flashlight to get rid of them, otherwise the game will crash. My favorite of the animatronics is definitely Endo02, who has a little more nuance to spawning. They can appear in the prize corner with a 1 in 10 chance, but only when the puppet's out, which limits your time to check substantially. But they can also appear in your left vent, blocking any animatronics from entering, but that's only with a 1 in 1000 chance. Shadow Freddy can appear in the parts and service room, but only once all of the withered animatronics have left. Curiously, the most in-depth secret character would probably be the Paper Pals, specifically this one that can move, which have actual movement AI for some reason. Their AI can be set to 1 at the start of Night 7 only, which lets them move towards the office. For those of you in the know, I'll talk about the death minigames in the next section a bit more, but there's a 1 in 100 chance every time you die to enter one of a few retro-styled minigames that wouldn't look out of place on an Atari. And of course, most importantly... oh boy. This is where the game had arguably its largest impact. The first certainly had lore, but if you're familiar, or seen my previous video, it's obviously just background stuff. With the inclusion of the death minigames and expansion of information in the nightly phone calls, this game definitely pushed it forward. From this game, we're introduced to the most prevalent and important character of the entire series, the yet-to-be-named Purple Guy. It's established through the death minigames that this is the man behind the slaughter of the children at the restaurants, and that it was the puppet who was responsible for putting the bodies inside the animatronics, leading to the reanimation of their spirits through them. With some help from the last phone call and the check at the end of the game, it became clear that this game is actually set before the first, which was surprisingly debated early on. Last important thing to mention is the bite of 87, or rather the lack of one. This narrows the time frame of it happening significantly, since according to the phone guy, there's only one more party left before the place shuts down. I expect this section to be the one to grow the most between videos on these games, since it sure does get complicated. But I'll still be trying to cover stuff as concisely and as surface level as I can, since an hour-long lore video isn't exactly my style. For now. I'm not exactly set on a name for this section yet, but I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about the community around the games, and especially the hoaxes for this title. If you were around during the release of this game, before we had access to all the files very easily, fake jump scares and Easter eggs were rampant. I'm sure you would remember the famous Purple Guy animatronic in Office Easter egg. People believed this? I guess with the nature of these games, almost anything would have been believable at this point. Another thing I remember distinctly is reversing the trailer, where according to rumors, if you played the song in reverse, you would hear the children singing, Mike Kill All, Mike being the security guard from the first game, along with people mishearing the animatronic scream as them yelling freedom. And don't get me started on the stupid Vincent thing. Standout creators in this era would definitely be people like Game Theory and Markiplier. And I think this is when Game Theory's idea of the phone guy being the killer was very popular. I guess in a franchise that has one speaking character, who else could it be, right? Of course I couldn't get away with not mentioning the music, especially the Living Tombstone stuff. Seriously, it's so nostalgic to go back and listen to this. I heard it so much back then. I recall this game being generally well received at the time, especially because of the short turnaround time from the first. But in hindsight, I've seen a lot more people critical of the game. And yeah, I honestly agree. It's not the worst, that's yet to come. But if I were to rank the games, this would definitely be below the first. Looks like my shift's already over. Hopefully I won't have to do something like this, I don't know, 8 or so more times. I hope y'all enjoyed though. My next video might be a bit more experimental, but after that it's back to your regularly scheduled programming. But that's all for tonight, folks. Good night.